Hey everyone, I'm Jay Cohen, editorial director here at Feedfeed, and we are in the kitchen with our friends at Shun Cutlery, showing you a classic ratatouille that's the ultimate summer entertaining dish. If you're unfamiliar, this classic French dish pairs summer squash with eggplant and tomato and onion. It's completely vegan and absolutely incredible. The best part is it's going to wow all of your guests without a lot of work, just a few knife skills. First step is we are going to dice an onion. This is honestly the fundamental technique of all cooking. So I'm gonna show you the way I do it. This is obviously my Shun Premier Chef's knife. We're gonna take off the top and bottom. Put it on its side, cut it in half, and peel out this outer papery skin. I just go in and I cut on an angle, kind of following the grooves of the onion. And then by doing that, when you slice it along that way, you just get the perfect dice. So let's do it. Okay, we're gonna come in and make slices. Again, angling it as I go along. I keep my fingers curved so I can use that as a guide for the knife without any chance of cutting myself. A sharp knife is so key. Not only is it going to let you get clean slices and prevent you from cutting your fingers, but the sharper the knife, the less kind of cell walls of the onion are broken down, so you're not gonna cry. When people talk about crying when they're cutting onions, that's because they're using a dull knife. So they're mashing more of that onion juice and it's getting in the air and then they start tearing up. So sharp knife, no tears. So the one thing that you should not be doing is once you chop that onion, going in and scooping it up with the blade of the knife. I always turn it on its side because scraping, it's gonna start to dull the blade, so you can use the back and the spine of it to really pick it up. Obviously, since we're talking knife skills, a huge part of that is mise en place, which is the French term to put in place. It kind of means just getting everything that you need for cooking a recipe together. So as I am chopping and slicing and dicing, I am putting things into little bowls so then I can have everything ready to cook, assemble, and eat. Okay, for the garlic, it's kind of a similar concept. What we're gonna do is trim off this woody end. So just a little bit, get rid of that. And then what I'm going to do is have them and then treat each half like a little mini onion. So we're gonna go through, make little slices, and then go across. See the little fan? That's how you know all your slices are even. Really what you wanna do when you are doing any type of kitchen task is go through and do everything to completion before moving on to the next step. Now we're on to our thyme. So this is one of my favorite herbs to use. I use it honestly in almost everything, sweet and savory. This is such a versatile ingredient, but it's super easy to work with. You just have to make sure that you kind of treat it with respect. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to come in and just run my fingers down the stem to get all the leaves off. And as you do it, anytime where something kind of like pops off at the top because it's so brittle, that means that this stem is soft enough that you can eat it. You really only want to be getting rid of the woody stems. Going through, making sure I cut any tender stems down. You want it kind of the same size as the garlic we just minced. Beautiful. I got a little bowl, mise en place, scoop it up. Now we're moving on to our vegetables. So we have zucchini, summer squash, and Chinese eggplant. If you are unfamiliar with this, this is one of my favorite eggplant varieties for a ratatouille. The reason being is that they are long and thin, so they are kind of the same diameter as the zucchini, so you can layer them and they go over evenly. So we are switching to our santoku knife. The reason being is that it is 7 inches, so it's a little bit shorter, as well as it has a nice kind of curve to it. So it really works well in a nice kind of rocking motion as you would to slice coins of vegetables. All right, we are going to take off the top and then start cutting about 1/6 of an inch. Again, curved fingers are key. That's what allows you to kind of keep going. There's something super therapeutic about cutting vegetables, especially kind of super even knife cuts. Again, sharp knife is so important. That's what's going to allow you to get these super even slices and like get into a rhythm of chopping. Slow it down once you get towards the end. Obviously you have a little bit less stability. You don't want to slip. Again, mise en place. I have my bowls here. I'm going to have so many bowls by the end of this, and we are going to be ready to just dump and stir. You know the skill now. I'm going to now go and do that with summer squash and eggplant. I want them all the same size, and then we'll get cooking. The reason why I'm slicing the eggplant last is because it will oxidize. So you definitely want to only cut it right before you're about to use it. It's time for you to show everyone who's the sauce. I'm adding my onions and garlic at the same time. 1/4 cup of olive oil, sweat them down and have them nice and translucent. When I was in high school, ratatouille is like one of the go-to dishes I made. I used to throw these dinner parties, and what I would do is I would do a big batch of ratatouille and a big batch of polenta and serve the two together, and that was like my go-to entertaining trick. Obviously, I did not do these like gorgeous knife skills for culinary schools, for working in restaurants, for everything. So it was just like diced and stewed, and it became this kind of like slop that was still equally delicious, but this is one of those dishes that when you put it on the table, people gasp because it's just so gorgeous. Our onions are nice and soft. Now I'm going to add in 1 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, and this is what's going to bring the whole dish together. And I just want to let this simmer until it thickens up a bit. While it simmers, I'm just going to season it up with a little salt and pepper. Let those flavors build, and then I can adjust the seasoning once it's done. It's super quick. I just want to let the tomatoes start to caramelize, so I'm gonna let it simmer for about 10 minutes. So, how do you know when your sauce is done? Well, you turn into Moses, because literally you just run your kind of wooden spoon through it, and it's gonna hold its shape. You are going to part your tomato sauce and show that it's ready, it's thick enough. Okay, I'm going to take this off the heat, and now I'm going to add in our minced thyme. The reason I'm not letting this really cook is this is going to go into the oven, so it's going to kind of infuse as it gets a little more love in there. The key part is you want to taste it for seasoning. Your sauce is super important. We're going to lay on raw vegetables and we're going to season them up, but having a really flavorful sauce is so important to the success of this dish. Perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to take all these beautiful slices of vegetables and then start to arrange them in concentric circles. So I'm going to start with zucchini, summer squash, eggplant, and then repeat this process all the way around, and then I'm going to just shingle whatever we have left in the center. The dish is assembled. All we have to do is kind of season up our vegetables and pop it into the oven. So I'm just going to add on a 1/4 cup of olive oil and then season up with salt and pepper. I'm gonna pop this into a 400-degree oven and just bake it for about 45 minutes until it is tender and bubbling and golden and absolutely incredible. Take a look at how gorgeous our ratatouille is. It smells incredible. All of our vegetables are nice and tender. I'm going to throw some extra thyme leaves on top. Gives that little pop of green herbaceous flavor. We have some fresh basil growing, so why not throw a little basil on top and call it a day. There you go, ratatouille. It's so good. The vegetables are nice and tender. That sauce is so perfect. You get the sweetness and acidity from the tomatoes, the brightness from all of that thyme. It just is absolutely perfect. Thank you to Shun Cutlery for the incredible knives that helped us sharpen up our knife skills to create this amazing dish. Now it's time for you to show off your knife skills. Post photos to Instagram tagging at the Feedfeed and at Shun Cutlery, as well as these hashtags, for a chance to win a wonderful Shun knife. You could head to feedfeed.com to get the full recipe.